What's up everybody, Corey with Freaky Tech Reviews here. So there's some news that came out over the past week that you might have missed. Sony has quietly decided to raise their PlayStation Plus prices to an outrageous amount, with the basic subscription increasing to $80 a year and the premium subscription increasing to $160 per year. In an economy that's hurting, this has a lot of people scratching their heads as to why right now, and it's making people wonder if they should keep PlayStation Plus at all. And I'm just now reporting on it because it really was kept that quiet. The news was casually included into their PlayStation blog for September's monthly Plus games, and the update wasn't even included in the title. It was a small, unlabeled section at the bottom of the blog. Because of this, I want to talk about how Sony is kind of starting to dig themselves into a hole, and how it's giving Microsoft the advantage to kind of become the place to be as a gamer in the future. Microsoft is playing the long game, but they are building the foundation to overtake Sony, and it's happening right before our eyes. The console war between PlayStation and Xbox has been heated since the release of the original Xbox back in 2001. And we've seen the war amped up a notch with subscription services for digital games and streaming, as both PlayStation and Microsoft have their respective digital game platforms. But even though these two titans have been battling for over 2 decades, PlayStation has remained supreme since the explosion in popularity from the PS4's launch in 2013. A report as recent as 2022 shows that the lifetime PS4 sales hit over 117 million consoles, but only 58.6 million for the Xbox One. And continuing to dominate, Sony confirmed in July of 2023 that they surpassed 40 million units sold for the PS5, and that's including the PS5 shortages over the last couple of years and the price increase they introduced back in 2022. And Sony has done this without the help of the PS5 Slim and Pro, which are rumored to be announced later in 2023. And this is significant because if you look at Xbox, they have 2 different consoles, the X and S, that have a combined total of 21 million units sold. So with sales like these from the PS4 and PS5, you might be asking yourself, why in the world does Corey think that Sony's digging their own grave? And I have a couple of reasons actually. Microsoft has been playing the long game for quite a while with a lot of features that you won't find on the PlayStation. An example of this is day one exclusives on Game Pass, where subscribers can immediately play big games as soon as they release. I've been loving Starfield recently because of Game Pass, where I only have to pay the monthly fee to access a newly released game from a well-known studio. Speaking of which, Microsoft acquiring Bethesda Softworks back in 2020 was a huge move to bring these exclusives to their platform day one, because Bethesda games have so much draw. Let's just use Bethesda's Skyrim as an example of how big this move is. Skyrim has sold over 60 million copies across every device since 2011, putting it at number 7 on the list of best-selling video games of all time. Now imagine if Starfield were to hit those numbers, but it's exclusive to Xbox and PC. Good move, Microsoft. Also, in addition to this, Xbox partnered with EA to give you included access to EA Play for Game Pass members, whereas on PlayStation it costs $5 a month. And let me just say, I am aware that the month-to-month cost of Xbox Game Pass is actually more expensive than even the premium version of PlayStation Plus. However, because of lack of day one exclusives, having to tack on add-ons like EA Play for an extra $5 a month, it quickly starts to change how the overall cost structure looks. And in yet another example, Microsoft is currently trying to acquire Activision Blizzard that would increase their gaming footprint even more, but is currently being blocked by legal hurdles. Now just imagine Microsoft, in addition to having exclusive rights to the next Elder Scrolls coming in the series, if they had exclusive to Call of Duty, the Warcraft franchise, Diablo. Microsoft's making some very big moves right now that are going to pay off in the future. Now, obviously PlayStation has their own list of very successful franchises as well, such as God of War, Spider-Man, the Uncharted series, and many more. And I don't think PlayStation can be as successful the same way Nintendo has with their exclusives, because Nintendo has a console design you can only get from them, and way more franchises with dedicated player bases. But outside of just exclusives, Microsoft is also bringing something else to the table that Sony cannot, and that's the PC master race. The cloud connection between Xbox and PC through Game Pass is seamless, where you can pick right up where you left off on a game and it doesn't matter what you're playing it on. This is also big because now the handheld gaming market is starting to gain serious traction. On most handheld console devices that are coming out in 2023, you'll have access to all PC games and Game Pass itself. Sony's answer to this is the PlayStation Portal that is set to release later this year, that is a handheld screen that's really more of an extension of the PS5 that has to be used over Wi-Fi. And even then, it's still limited to just PlayStation games only. You can't play it on any other platforms or with any other games outside of what PlayStation allows you to. Microsoft is already winning with handhelds because they don't have to design or manufacture these consoles, because third-party companies like Asus, Valve, and Lenovo are already doing it. All Microsoft has to do is make sure that their game library is compatible with these devices. devices. And let me say, I'm not saying this to bash Sony. I don't like the price increases, but I absolutely love the PS5 and I'm a major PlayStation fan. I cannot wait to see what happens with the Pro and the Slim, and if a Pro version does come out, I'm absolutely going to be upgrading. But this gives me cause for concern because the investment to become a PlayStation gamer is getting steeper and steeper if you look at the console price increase, the subscription price increase, and then video games starting to look like they're going to cost $70 for a disc. Because of things like this, not being able to access exclusives on day one like you can on Game Pass are kind of a game changer. So in a way, Microsoft is kind of setting itself up to monopolize the gaming industry, which I'm not a fan of. The reason that these consoles have gotten so good and these games have gotten so good is through competition. If one company owns way too much of the gaming marketplace, that's just not a good thing. So I'm concerned with what Sony's going to do about this. And it could be to Sony's own demise if they aren't trying to block this in some way. So there's a lot happening right now that just kind of makes me think, what is Sony going to do to make sure that they stay competitive and they're not limiting themselves to one corner of the market? The Xbox PC connection is something that's going to be really hard to defeat because now you're allowing console and PC players to play together more seamlessly than ever. This goes beyond cross-platform multiplayer because now you can actually play the same game together because Xbox games are now optimized for PC and consoles so that people can play two-player games together. That's a big deal. But anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that Microsoft is putting themselves in a position to destroy Sony's gaming industry? Or do you think the record-breaking sales from the PS4 and the PS5 are going to be enough to keep Sony on top of the gaming market? I'd love to know your thoughts below. But as we go through this journey of what's happening in the gaming industry, I would love if you would join the Freaky Tech family through subscribing. That way I can keep you informed and we can go through this together. But that's it for today. Just wanted to loop you in on what's going on in the industry and also my thoughts on it. But I really appreciate your time and you checking out this video today. Again, I'm Corey with Freaky Tech Reviews. I'll see you next time.